I was on a panel where a friend was hosting a conference, and I was privileged to share on that panel with beloved men of God. And and the subject of that panel was rest, was the Sabbath. Then and I realized something, that people have very wrong thinking concerning the Sabbath. There are people that think the Sabbath is a day. So when you can only worship on a Sabbath, which is one day, and when you study the Bible, you realize something that even the Bible says in Colossians 1:27. You realize something, that if you've studied well, you realize something, that all the things in the Old Testament, they were a picture of what was to come. So when we look at God says you keep the Sabbath holy, you see, says on the Sabbath he rested. People think the Sabbath now in the new covenant, that's why we see in Hebrews, it says labor to enter his rest. Then what is Sabbath? Sabbath is entering rest because you've received Jesus. And what do we mean when we say rest? Resting from your works, resting from thinking that man could save himself. Because back in the days, people would think that they would save themselves. That's why when Jesus came, he brought us to rest. That's why in Hebrews 4, he says, labor to enter his rest. What is his rest? He came and died for man so that man should live, so that man should not perish. Man no longer has to save himself. Why? The only thing that man has to do is to enter the finished works of Jesus. Sabbath is not a day. Sabbath is a person of Jesus. So when do you enter into Sabbath? You enter into Sabbath, which is rest, when you receive Jesus. And do you live there? No. Does a day come where you lose your Sabbath or you live out? No. Every day we are in our Sabbath. We are there on Monday. We are there. So if we worship God on Monday, that's our Sabbath. If we worship God on Tuesday, that's my Sabbath. I can worship God because why? I have entered my Sabbath, who is a person and who is not a day. Blessings.